Hey everybody, I'm Alex von Krogh. I'll be talking to you about, like Eric said, the impact of COVID on OTT. So this is my first time doing one of these virtual webinars, so let's hope Zoom cooperates. Let me start by taking a minute to tell you a little bit about WIT Media Group and what we do. Let me just go to the next slide. Our portfolio is strategically focused on helping the entertainment industry drive ROI and manage global content assets. We've got three core businesses, and we manage a huge amount of data at unprecedented levels. MediaMorph is probably our most recognized brand. It's an enterprise solution that enables financial controls of management and video content as it travels through the entertainment ecosystem. Over $2 trillion, or 70% of global digital transactional revenue, is managed by MediaMorph. TV Time is our consumer platform where 14 million users around the globe come together in a community to engage around TV and film content and get targeted recommendations for what to watch next. The TVDB is our community-driven global metadata asset and platform for movies and television. It provides the foundation for the TV Time app and is a rich human-powered source of metadata for the entertainment industry, with 15,000 contributing authors across the world, covering more than 100,000 TV shows and almost 130,000 films. We brought these assets together because we believe success in today's world requires automated systems to help make businesses efficient and effective. And you need data and insights to make your businesses smarter in today's challenging times. So it's not surprising that TV viewership is up since the onset of COVID-19. We've had a record 33 million people filing for unemployment in America since the pandemic began. Live events in every sport, entertainment, and school have been canceled or postponed. The education world has moved from in-person to distance learning. National chains like Regal and AMC have completely shut down, which impacts theatrical release windows where studios like NBC Universal announced they'll make their movies available on demand. In-home is prevalent across all the major online platforms. Viewership is up in-home. So all these realities drive traffic to in-home streaming entertainment, creating opportunity and new challenges for the entire content ecosystem, including getting enough and the right content in front of viewers. Wanted to share some data with you. So the question is, with consumers having more time to watch TV, the question for streaming services is, what do they want to watch? Which obviously is a complicated question to answer. From a pure genre perspective, TV Time has told us, our community has told us, that they want that surround us today. But when we dig deeper, we can begin to get a sense of what's behind those motivations and those intentions. We can get a sense of the feelings that are motivating people as they sit down in front of their TVs today. The data you see here is an attempt to capture that sentiment. So what we found was interesting. Almost everyone we asked, a full 86% of people, said they wanted to watch shows that were already on their watch list. In a world where there's so many choices and you can find new content around every corner, consumers consciously told us they want to catch up on the shows they've been meaning to watch. This has important implications for OTT services, particularly on the value of library content. Other popular motivations were more emotionally driven. We see, again, a strong desire to find an escape from reality, with 73% of people indicating that was an important motivation for them. There's also an urge to laugh and feel comforted, perhaps not surprisingly. I think that's particularly relevant to the importance of choosing catalog content. If you program and recommend content that taps into the current emotions of viewers, it makes sense that the viewer will be more satisfied, motivated to watch more, and ultimately remain a customer. So we've seen that emotional mood of the country is shifting and how that applies to TV, where people are watching at home, sitting on the couch with family or friends, escaping those headlines. But what specific emotions are people feeling? One of the things that we're fortunate to be able to measure here at WIP is exactly that. Our TV time community tells us after each episode of TV that they watch about the impact it has on them. We know their favorite characters, we know the storylines that capture their imagination, we can see the specific moments in shows that matter to them. And perhaps most importantly, they tell us exactly how the content made them feel: happy, sad, excited, shocked, even frustrated or bored. In thinking about the impact COVID and the sheltering in place is having, we wanted to see whether those emotional responses had shifted during this period. The results were quite remarkable. What you see here is data for the 2.5-month period from March 1st of this year through yesterday, compared to the same period in 2019. And you can see clearly that the emotional response has shifted from predominantly happiness to one of excitement and shock. In fact, happiness was still among the most commonly cited feelings, but it went from 49% down to 31%, which is a 37% decrease as far as the share of the response, and excitement increased from 17 to 31%. And shock was up notably from 15 to 22%. It's not that people are feeling sad. That was only 10% share of the vote. It's the exhilarating feelings that are breaking through. The other observation I would make is that today's emotional response to content appears to be more nuanced than it was just a year ago, spread more evenly among the feelings that were mentioned. It's more complex and no doubt changing rapidly as the environment we're in today. We know, of course, that different types of content will yield different emotional responses, so it's the job of the programmer to understand that and monitor that over time. So we see that the streaming services are scrambling to meet this consumer demand and cater to these new motivations and emotions. What is best to feature and what are you missing that you need to acquire? How do you make the right recommendations on your storefront, pair content together that makes sense? There's also implications about how to tailor your marketing message. Where that particularly comes into play is among your existing catalog. We have seen significant production delays and halts across the industry, resulting in greater need for catalog content right now to populate the proliferation of platforms, fill the gaps, and feed the appetite for content via these channels. There's an opportunity for content providers to truly monetize their content libraries in a time of need, and for streaming platforms to leverage the sheer breadth and depth of catalog content to drive viewership. In times of crisis, it's normal for TV viewing to increase. Disney Plus has collected more than 50 million subs in just 5 months. The current issue is not whether they will watch more, we know they will, it's how many platforms they pay for and feed the need to watch. In the last handful of months, we've seen the launch of Disney Plus, Apple, Quibi, and Peacock, soon to come as HBO Max. There's probably a ceiling, but I don't think we've hit it yet. The explosion of services, coupled with our vastly increased available viewing time in the shelter-in-place environment, is changing our expectations of how content comes to us. We're going to be more open to binge watching shows, many of them library content, that maybe we thought about in the past binging but never found time for. Our TVs, our tablets, our smartphones, and our apps, they already know us, and we need to utilize that information to adapt.
Alex, I don't know if you can hear me. Unfortunately, we've lost your audio. It looks like you're back. We lost your audio for just a minute or two.
Oh, you did? Okay. Well, I don't know where we left off.
You were on the previous slide when we were hearing from you last.
Okay. This slide or the next one?
No, the one next. And you were, I would say, basically at the end of the slide. So you could just wrap here and go on to the next one. I don't know what's causing it. It seems
okay.
Like the bandwidth.
And we only have a couple minutes left, or?
We're fine. I think yeah, we've got a couple minutes and we can take some questions. Go ahead. We'd love to hear from the rest.
All of this impacts the need for quality metadata around content, which we know is a major pain point for consumers. And discovery is really key to marketing and serving up the right content at the right time. The OTT platforms really have to adapt to this in this new environment. So changes in how TV shows and feature films and, movies going straight to on demand are produced are likely to have an impact on our viewing behaviors. And, CBS drama All Rise from Warner Brothers and CBS Studios announced the show is returning to production and will be filmed extensively using FaceTime, WebEx, Zoom, other social platforms and technology. So with production coming to a halt and many shows getting canceled, Hollywood needs to rethink and innovate how content not only makes it to the screen, but how it becomes more discoverable with metadata. If metadata is sort of the record of what happened at a given time, how do we adapt in a world of virtual productions? Our likes and our dislikes will change as a result of these shifts, maybe weekly, maybe hourly. How we craft metadata must be adaptable to production and distribution models as they change so the correct information is delivered at the right time. To go along with all these services, the industry is spending billions on content at an unprecedented rate. In a recent analysis by Variety Intelligence Platform, revealed that US media and entertainment companies spent over $120 billion on original content, including movies and TV shows, and that was last year. Doesn't even include the cost of licensing content libraries. COVID will change the mix of content spending, but it won't stop it. Where production halts and delays are impacting new content spend, budgets are shifting to film and licensing. It's been reported that Netflix, Amazon, and Hulu are poised to shift dollars significantly into catalog. I think in its Q1 earnings letter, Netflix said that shows and films that are expected to release in the second quarter will, production's already over, but there will be a major shift into licensing films and series moving forward, just given the environment we're in. Just another proof point that libraries are critical to programming decisions that people are making today. So since we're basically out of time, I hope you enjoyed these thoughts on the impact COVID is having. It's a rapidly evolving industry, especially at a time like this. People are watching more TV, their motivations and sentiment is shifting, and it's critical that we understand how these changes are evolving and how we can leverage them as we program our libraries and make decisions around recommendations and how to pair content appropriately together. Thanks again, and be safe and well.
Alex, you have time for a question or two?
That's all I've got, Eric.
Do you have time for,
Sure.
Do you have time for a question or two?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So we do have a question. First of all, great presentation, Alex. Regarding your data on happy versus excited / shocked, did you also analyze any differences in the content that was being viewed between last year and this year? So the way people felt versus what they're actually watching in light of COVID.
Yep. Yeah, so the reason we looked at year over year was to kind of adjust to the degree that there is seasonality right now, to adjust for that, as opposed to just looking in the last 3 months prior. So that was one thing that we did to kind of try to account for that. I think the next step, to your point, would be to zero in on a certain genre or different programs, maybe look at the mix of programming and how that might impact emotional response. And that's kind of, we're starting to get into that right now, but this was just kind of the high level that makes you think, okay, how do I double click on that and get a useful insight that I can use around specific programming?